We have just finished our 7th grade year, and today I want to talk about world history and world geography. What did we use? What did we like? What didn't we like? All of those fun things. So first of all, for world geography, we used My Father's World, Exploring Countries and Cultures. Now, this is not exactly true, because yes, we used it, but I used so many Thistles and Biscuits unit studies, and also I used the Gentle and Classical unit studies, a couple of these, and so it's really not fair to have this as a review of My Father's World, because we strayed so far from what the My Father's World curriculum is, because I more pieced together the geography, what we did for geography. Those Thistles and Biscuits unit studies are awesome. I will link down below a flip through that I think I did for some of those unit studies to give you an example of those Thistles and Biscuits unit studies, but we really, really enjoyed them. So the way world geography has worked for us is we started with My Father's World, the beginning of 6th grade. It just didn't work. It was not going to work for us. I spent a lot of money on that curriculum, and I didn't want to just throw it out. I do have a video talking about that. But what I did was utilize My Father's World and then add in the Thistles and Biscuits unit studies for some countries that I didn't necessarily want to from My Father's World. And then I also picked up a couple of these Gentle and Classical units. Now, we still don't really like My Father's World. It's a little dry for us. I think that it would be so much more interesting if my daughter was young, because then some of the fun activities, the music and the art projects and different books that they have and different things that you do are for a little bit younger than my daughter. What is for her age range are a lot of worksheets, a lot of the same type worksheets. So research the mountain ranges and heights of a certain continent, and then the next continent you're still researching the mountain ranges of that continent, and it just is not interesting and diverse enough for my daughter. So we do quite a few things with regards to world geography. Between 6th grade and 7th grade, we have finished North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and we are now into Asia. So we will finish the world in 8th grade. And I really think that we will not be utilizing very much from My Father's World. For that, I am just going to find additional unit studies for those countries in Asia. I know that My Father's World does have a Australia section to it, and so we may come back and do this Australia section from My Father's World. I'm not really sure about that. I know that I will continue utilizing Thistles and Biscuits, because we love those unit studies. The only thing that I don't really like about the unit studies, which is ironically something that My Father's World has, are some of the more technical charts and graphs and longitude and latitude and things like that. Those worksheets, My Father's World definitely covers that. And my daughter has to do state testing, and I know that those are questions that are normally on state testing, and so we do need to stay very up to date and have those types of abilities fresh in our minds. And so I may use that for this. I may use My Father's World for that. Now, we did use from Gentle and Classical Ukraine as well as Greece, and these were okay. They weren't our favorites, but they weren't our least favorites either. They have quite a bit of information in each one, and so there's just the issue of attention span, I think, is one of the things that we struggled with a little bit on this. We did bring in quite a few news broadcasts and information about the Ukraine because of current events, And so I'm glad that they had the Ukraine unit study because it was a great jumping off point, but we didn't utilize everything that is included in this. So for world geography this year, I would not say that it was our best subject. If you are interested in these reviews, please make sure that you are subscribed because I am coming out with them right now, and then we will be releasing our curriculum picks for 8th grade shortly. Now let's talk about history. So for the second year, we have used the World Story. So we did World Story 2 this year. In 6th grade, we did World Story 1. This year, we did World Story 2. And we, just as some background, we did America's Story and loved America's Story. So that's one of the reasons that we stuck with World Story. Angela Odell, we love her writing style, and she really helps bring things to life. I don't really care for the teacher's guide that the World Story provides. As you can see, we don't really use very many of the pages that they have, the worksheets that they have in this. We do use more living books and projects than what we use worksheets for world history. One of the things that I am adamant about is our history timeline. We love having this history timeline. I like it because as we go through, we're able to take into account things that are happening all around versus just that one snapshot. So this is a school nest book for the history timeline. And my daughter, we're not up to here yet, but what she does is just write events or pictures of events that are happening so that we have a very nice history timeline of the entire world. So since we didn't do what is recommended in the teacher's manual from World Story 2, what did we do? Well, we did a lot of reading for one. So we read Tuesdays at the Castle, The Midwife's Apprentice, Mary, Bloody Mary, I Was There, which is the Battle of 1066. Then we read King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. We are currently reading Redwall. We haven't quite finished it yet. Mary, Bloody Mary was by far my daughter's favorite book that we read for these historical living books. This is one that if I would have known how much she liked it, I would have gotten the other 3 that are in the series by the same author. So I may get those for her to read next year on her own, have them as one of her options for her individual reading time. For this year's individual reading time regarding history, because she has separate reading time. She has her individual reading time that she reads for just on her own, the books that she chooses, and then she has some history books that she reads periodically throughout the school year, and Horrible Histories is one of her favorites. So she read The Vicious Vikings and the Measly Middle Ages, The Terrible Tudors, and then the Handbook of Knights. This one is more colorful than the other Horrible Histories, but these are some of her favorites. We also, one of her other favorites are these History Bites. Now this is only one of the books that we have, but History Bites is, she just loves these because they're short, they're bite size. And so you just have a little bit of information, and then you have interesting facts. She's using this as a secondary source for her final project of the year, which I will get to in just a minute. The other thing that we used for history, we used some of these Who Was books. So we have Who Was Marco Polo, Who Was the Girl Warrior of France, and then What Was the Age of Exploration. Now, Christian Focus Publication came out with some Who, What, Why books. So we have Why Did the Reformation Happen? Who was Martin Luther? And What was the Gutenberg Bible? These are very similar to the Who Was books, except they are from a Christian perspective. Now, my daughter did do the lap book that is included with the Reformation one, and this has quite a bit of information in it. She was not really a fan of this lap book. I think that she has decided that lap books are a little bit young for her, and so I'm not sure how many more lap books like this she will be doing. She did enjoy her 2 big projects that she had for world history this year. So in the first semester, she wrote a full-out research paper. It was finding the sources, making your outline, learning about the bibliography, understanding the difference between primary sources and secondary sources. And it was truly a research paper, and she did that on the Crusades, and she learned so much through that research paper. For the second semester, she was able to choose any person or event that we had discussed throughout the year and do a PowerPoint presentation on that person or event. She again had to have her bibliography and so that she can truly understand about bibliography. And then she had a 4 to 6 minute PowerPoint presentation, and she just is doing so well with that. And so she chose King Henry VIII for her presentation. I think that our Mary Bloody Mary book had a lot to do with that choice, because she really enjoys the stories around King Henry VIII and just the conversations that we had about his reasoning for wanting to go away from the Roman Catholic Church and develop the Church of England, and then that not really getting him what he wanted. So it was just that section, that part of history was so much fun for us to discuss this year. So I really wasn't that surprised that it was what she chose, because it was her favorite when we were going through it in World Story 2. It was her favorite part, and it was the one that she actually discussed and narrated more than any other part within World Story 2. Now, World Story 2 has 28 chapters, and there is quite a bit where it's focusing on England, and I absolutely understand the why behind that. But the last 2 chapters are Africa during the Middle Ages and then the Americas during the Middle Ages. And those 2 really seemed like an afterthought for the Middle Ages. These 2 chapters didn't really flow with the rest of the book. I'm glad that Angela Odell included them in that. Obviously, there were very important things that were happening there during the Middle Ages. But just so you are aware, Africa and Americas really only got 1 chapter each. Other than that, you focused a lot on Europe and China, which again, I understand why. But I do think that Africa and Americas had more to offer Middle Ages than what was included in World Story 2. One of the things that I don't always do, but I did a little bit more this year, was the artist studies. So you can see they have artist studies for the different time periods, and I did find a lot more value in them this year. I think a lot of it is because we were studying, the Renaissance, and that is very important with regards to the art of the world. And so we did focus much more on the artist studies than what I have in the past, and I'm glad that I did. Leonardo da Vinci was an amazing man, and the things that he contributed to the world are just well worth being studied. Since we are not an art family, one of my favorite things to do is bring in Take Time for Art, and we did. I love Take Time for Art. The videos that are included definitely provide awesome background and historical information, and then you get to do hands-on activities, which always reinforces things with my daughter. She loves Take Time for Art. It combines history and art, and they just do such a great job in walking step by step how to bring these creations to life, and then the importance of them historically as to why are you building a shield when you are studying about the knights? Why did you want to do a Byzantine mosaic? She does such a good job in bringing to life art and art history, and I'm very thankful that I found Take Time for Art.